Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be going over all things breeding. So the first thing I want to show you guys is you can see this gobfin here, gobfin, is working. It says there's two here. They just had another egg, but there's only one gobfin here. You're not even working in the breeding pen. No one here is except for the single gobfin. So how did I do that? Well, it's really easy, actually. He didn't come upstairs. So he's just Bluetooth through there, just hanging out, doing his own thing. So you don't actually have to have them both in the breeding pen. You have to throw them in the breeding pen, you can't just expect them to go work by themselves, but this guy just, for some reason, doesn't like stairs. So when I logged in today, both of the gobfins went back to the breeding, but one of them just, he's like, I don't want to do it. So he's just chilling down here. So I thought that was pretty cool. Wanted to show you guys that. That's got nothing really to do with how to breed, which is what we're going to be going over. We're going to be going over how to breed, different combinations, and just generally everything about breeding that you'll need to know in order to have a successful time breeding. So first we're going to go over how you get a breeding farm. So first you have to hit level 19, then you're going to need 100 wood, 20 stone, and 50 fiber, which by the time you're 19 you should have a lot of those. And then you get to build one. So once you have one of those, you're going to need a male and a female in order to put in there so that they can breed. So the way you do that is you just get a male and a female of whatever species you want. There's charts that we'll go over later. You come over, if you're on Xbox, you hit Y, you pick them up and just throw them inside of it. So I would have picked them up, walked them over here, thrown them inside, and that would assign them to the breeding farm. And then you would do the same thing, male, one female. Now they're both assigned, in there working. So now you got both of those, but they're not breeding. Why aren't they breeding? Well, in this little box here, you need to get cake. So cake is going to be the hardest part of this operation. So with cake, you're going to need a cooking pot minimum. So you come up to it and you need flour, red berries, milk, egg, and honey. So flour is pretty easy, same with the red berries. You just build the plantations. So up here I have my little farm. I got 2 of everything. So I got 2 berries, I got 2 wheat, 2 tomatoes, and 2 lettuce. So with the wheat, you take that and you got to put it in a water mill and then have a water pal to convert it into flour. So it's going to look like this, and you can see I got 165 just sitting here waiting for me to collect because it does deteriorate and it will expire. So I just have it there until I need it. Once I run out, then I'll grab it. And all of those you want to put in a fridge or a cooler box if you're not at a fridge like this yet, because you can see I got, on the berries, I got 3,000 they just Frostallion. Finish eating. I'm trying to work here. As you can see, right, I got 6.5 minutes on it, and now I got 340 minutes. So once you get the fridge or cooler box, whatever, you need a pal with cooling to assign to it, the same way you'd pick them up, throw it at it. And that's going to make everything last significantly longer. Now, I do have honey in here. Honey does not deteriorate, so I could put that in a regular box. But anything that has a timer on it will expire. So these mushrooms here, they got 7 minutes, and you can't even see, on the background it has a gauge on how high or how low it is, and it's all the way down and it still has 6 minutes on it. So I do have a Frostallion who's level 4 cooling, so that's going to be significantly better than level 1. Next you need milk, egg, and honey. So I guess I'll go over the honey first. So bee guard, assigned to the ranch, it will drop honey. You can just farm it that way. Then the milk, you got the Muzineras, and the eggs, you got the chickpeas. I'll assign it to the ranch. They will do all that work for you. Alternatively, you can buy the egg and milk from a merchant. The first spot you're going to find a merchant is right here, small settlement. So this is the plateau of beginnings where you start. And that is the grassy behemoth hills. And then just to the left, the small settlement, you can go there. And there is a merchant there all the time. But if you buy the stuff from him, then you gotta carry it back. You can catch him and put him in your base. As you can see, I got Wandering Merchant, a Black Marketeer, a Pal Merchant, and another Black Marketeer on base. So I can just assign them to the base and then talk to them to do all their stuff, whether it's buying, selling, items or pals, whatever. But if you put it in your party and throw it out, you cannot talk to them. So beware of that. You will have to actually put them in your base in order to use them. Now, Cinnamoth has possible honey drops. So you can't assign it to the ranch. It does not have a farming. But if you go to fight it, that's where it is on the map. And you defeat them, they do have a chance of dropping honey. So you can defeat them, catch them, either or. And if you catch them, then you can butcher them for another chance at dropping honey. So that is one way you can get honey. And the bee guards have possible drops of honey, and they do farming. So if you collect them, you can do the same thing, catch them or defeat them. If you catch them, you can butcher them or put them in the ranch. They will drop honey. That's where they are located, daytime, nighttime. But if you get the Elizabeth, they do have drops, but you can't farm them. So you can still defeat them to get the drops, but if you catch them, you cannot put them in the ranch. So you will have to butcher them to try to get the honey drops. So get yourself a Bogard and assign it to the ranch like I have. And then you'll be able to have honey whenever you need it. Now the Mazanera is how you're going to get the milk. Again, you can defeat it or catch it, butcher it, or catch it and assign it to the ranch. It is located right over there, daytime and nighttime. And for the eggs, the Chicopee, defeat it or catch it, butcher it, or catch it, assign it to the ranch. And it is located at the start or in any of those other areas, daytime and nighttime. So now you have flour, red berries, milk, egg, and honey. But you still have one more issue. Because you have to do it on one of these cooking pots, you're going to want a fire pal in order to do it. The higher the kindling level, the better it is. So the best is going to be a Yormertide Ingus. But if you're early game, getting one of those is not really going to be something you can do because they're such a high level. They are at Sanctuary number 3 over here, but in order to get there, they're high levels, 45 and up. So you could fly there, but you know, if you're early game, Pal Spheres aren't really going to be able to catch him. So in order to get Yormertide early, you're going to want the tropical outfit at minimum, or the heat resistant pelt armor. Or if you have an undershirt, you can use that also. You're going to want a flying mount, which at 15 you get Nightwing. If you already have the breeding farm, then you're definitely going to be good to go on having a Nightwing. If you're 21, you can use the Van Warem. And you're going to want to go over here. So there's the Eternal Pyre Tower entrance. That's the beginning. So head all the way left. And if you come from here down to here, and then you come up to about here, now that is Jet Dragon, so you definitely want to be careful. And then you come up to this wall here, and you come back, and you do that loop. You can find huge dragon eggs, and if you do, get them because they have a chance of getting a Yormertide Ingus. So the heat resistant undershirt looks like this, and then the thermal undershirt, which is for cold, looks like this. So if you have one of these, you can throw it on and it'll definitely help. Now if you don't want to do all that to get the Yormertide, who has level 4, you can use the Fox Sparks. They are level 1 kindling though, so it is going to take a lot longer to do, but that'll be really best option if you're lower level because you're not going to have access to any of the other ones. If you do get a scorching egg from somewhere, you have a chance of getting something else, but they're not going to be nearly as good as the Yormertide, which you'll get most often in this area, but anywhere in this volcano region will work. You're just going to mostly find scorching eggs, which are going to give you fire types, but not necessarily a Yormertide. You're going to want the dragon egg for that. So once you have all of that done, and you can make one on the cooking pot, you don't have to have any of the items on you. It'll, as long as they're on your base somewhere, it'll work. But you could see how slow I was cooking that, right? So because they did add the ability for one touch, so you just tap the button, and then your guy's going to continuously do the action. You could just do a bunch, tap, I think it's F on keyboard or X on controller, walk away and just let it do its thing. But with a level 4, you can still see how slow we're crafting a cake together. So you're definitely going to want to use, you know, a Yormertide. And if you can get, if you're later game and you can get it to level 5 by getting its star level all the way up, which you need 114 or 116 to do. That would be better because, you know, level 5 is obviously going to beat level 1. So you take the cake, put it in the box, now it's up to 24, and they're just going to continuously lay eggs. I think it was around 20 eggs that you can hold at a time before it'll go all the way up and stop because they're maxed out. But that was with large eggs that I was testing that with, so I don't know if the small eggs are different. But with the large eggs, I was standing inside of the egg like this. That's how big they were. So you take your damp egg, or whichever egg, you know, normal egg, scorching egg, whatever. Put it in here. This is a private world, so I do have it currently set to no cooldown time. So they just instantly are ready to incubate. Which, if you're trying to do it faster, you could do that. You can see I got a gobfin because I have 2 gobfins. This one's got Stronghold Strategist, and the other one just has Vanguard. Now, I have been breeding these gobfins a little bit, so a lot of these are going to be level 1 because every time you get an egg, it goes to level 1. So you can see the attack on this one's 106, and the attack on this one's 108. This one's got Stronghold Strategist, this one's got Stronghold Strategist, and Vanguard. They only do the player, they don't do the PAL. So this one's got a 10% increase to player defense, and this one has a 10% increase to player attack. But that's not for this gobfin. So why is it different? Well, there's hidden IVs that the game doesn't tell you about. So each of these, you know, 106, 108, 107, as I level them up, they're going to have a significantly different attack or defense. The work speed is going to be the same. The attack will be different. So you can see at level 21, this one has 244 attack. This one's got 248. So that one's not too different. The defense is 172 and 178, so it's not too different. But as they get to level 50, they will be a lot different. Like you can see here, 259 and 235. So the attack has a lot more put into the individual IV of attack and a little bit more in defense. So between the two of them, this one, even though it's got Glutton, is going to be a lot better attack and defense wise. Where this one, it has Vanguard, it's going to help the player out a little bit, but it will not be nearly as good as its counterpart. Even though, you know, they're both males, you can even tell the health, 1597 to 1769, right? And if we go down to these two, the attack or the health is 560 and 551, and that's at level 1. So imagine at level 50, right? So not only do you have to look at both Stronghold Strategist and Vanguard, or Nimble and Runner, or Work Slave and Artisan, like whatever you're going for, not only do you have to look for that, you have to look for the stats too. So you can get a perfect one that has a low IV roll but has all the stats you want. It will still be better than one that has max stats. But if you're going for the perfect min-max, then you're going to want to look for all of it, which is going to be very difficult in the breeding process to try to get that because you have to go through the parents. So, right? So if I was looking at, you know, like this one at level 20 with 259, and then this one at 260, and then this one at 230, I wanted to breed this one because it's got Vanguard, and I want to go for Vanguard, but I want to use these ones because they have better attack stats. Well, you see where that puts me in the predicament, right? I'd have to move Vanguard to one of these ones. So I'd have to use this one and hope to get Vanguard, and then hope that it has an IV stat more like the mothers than the fathers. So there is a lot that's going to go into choosing the perfect PAL for breeding. So like I said, at 50 you're going to tell it more, at 20 you'll tell it more, at 1 you're not going to see a whole lot. You're going to see like 8 to 7 or 8 to 6. So at 2 points is the most I've seen at level 1. So I'd recommend getting them up to at least level 20 so that you could see what their stats are actually going to be. So if you want Hooligan on it, you can tell like Hooligan and Vanguard, they're both level 20, but this one has 295. So how do you compare those two? Well, truthfully, what you need to know is don't really need to worry about it. So for instance, these two, they're both males. I would just compare, being that they both have Hooligan, I just compare both of them and then pick the one that works the best. So I just bump this one up to level 21 and then compare them and then move from there. The other parent that doesn't have Hooligan, you compare against one that doesn't have Hooligan. Now the reason you do that is if both parents have Hooligan or both parents have Artisan, both parents have whatever, it's not going to be nearly as effective as transferring it over. So when you transfer it, this one has Vanguard, and so I'm going for Vanguard and Stronghold Strategist. So if I were to move this one and this one, try to breed them. Obviously they're both female, so I couldn't, but here, let's do this one. So if I were to move this one and this one, the chances of getting Vanguard and Stronghold Strategist actually drop. So I'm more likely going to get Glutton or Brittle and This one doesn't have anything, so I'm more likely to get Glutton, Brittle, and random ones as opposed to Stronghold Strategist and Vanguard. So what I had to do was find one that has Stronghold Strategist, find one that has Vanguard, and breed those two together. So these are the ones that I'm going to be using. You can see level 1, their attack's pretty good, right? 124, 123. Now, I'm not actually using these for attack. I'm going to be using them in another video. If you want to see that video, don't forget to stick around, hit like, subscribe, and wait for this video to come out, because this one is going to be interesting. So these ones, I have all of the ones that I want to keep. So I might want Artisan on something else, so I'm keeping that one, right? I might want Runner. I got a female and a male Runner, not to breed together, but to breed with other things if I was to want to. You know, Sirius and Swift, another Artisan, Sirius. So I'm keeping these ones around. These are the 4 I'm going to use. So the rest I am using just to put into these. They're all 3-star right now. I'm working on getting them to 4-star. Hence why I'm breeding those. And that was my breeding process. Catch them, find the ones that have Vanguard, find the one that has the other passive that I want, Stronghold Strategist, breed them together. It's best if you do, the mom has 2 that you want, and the dad has 2, as opposed to 3 and 1, or 4 and 0. Okay, so now that we have an idea of how to move passives, how do we know who we want to breed? Well, that's where it's going to get interesting. This is palworld.gg/breeding calculator. I'll leave a link to it in my description. So with this, you can see if you have, for instance, a Rush Roar, and for the second parent you have a Vixie, you can see that you'll get a Kilmari. So you can choose this way, you know, figure out who you have and what it's going to make. The other way is if you find all combinations for Pal, you can come down and go, okay, I want a Yormertide Ingus. Well, you can see the only way to get one is with 2 other Yormertide Inguses. So you can't breed for one unless you already have 2 of the opposite genders. But if you want a Catavata, you can see all of the different ones here. And as a parent, you can see anything that you have and what it can make. So, if you want a Catavata that you want to try to make a Sparkit, you can come through, find the Sparkit, and go, okay, you need a Jolthog Crest. So it's really cool that way. If you want a Leaves Punk, boom, it shows you all of the things. All of the ways, and some of them have a lot. So how is it decided who gets what? So each of these have a score of 10 to 1500. 1500 being the most common, and 10 being the least common. So for instance, if I want a Chickpea, you can see that as the parent, it can do a lot of stuff. But as a child, it can only make another Chickpea. Because its power score is 1500, everything else would bring its power score up, or I guess technically down, depending how you want to look at it. So you can't actually make a Chickpea with anything except Chickpea. And on the opposite side of that, if you have a Jetragon, it has the highest score, so it can only be made with another one. So if we go to the breeding calculator and use a Jetragon, and the second one as a Chickpea, you can see we're going to get an Arsox because that is going to be in the middle. What it does is it takes the highest, so in this case, like we'll use a Jetragon at 10 and a Chickpea at 1500, and it averages it out. So the middle, which is going to be an Arsox. So if we were to find all combinations for Pal and then use that one, technically it should have a lot of combinations. It probably is going to have the most in the game, which you can see we're just scrolling away. There's so many of them that you can use to make it. So that is how that works, but you don't really need to know any of that. All you really need to know is that this calculator here is going to tell you how you can make everything. So the higher the power score, the more options it'll have of making things lower than it, but never higher than the highest power score. So if your highest power score is a Rush Roar, you're not going to be able to make anything that has a higher power score than a Rush Roar, if that's the highest PAL you have, right? So that's a quick overview of how that works, but just remember, use the calculator to figure out whatever you need. If it's the child you're trying to make, or if you have a parent that you want to, you got a lucky Rush Roar and you want to find out what you can breed with it. You can use this in order to do it. One more thing about the bee guards is they will explode, doing massive damage to you. If you watch my Ragnarok video, you'll see what I mean. I hope this helped in understanding how breeding works in Palworld. If you have any questions, my socials will be linked in the description. You can ask on Discord. Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep exploring. Stay awesome.